So we're going to see Tempest have first pick, first ban. I do think the 2-lane maps are the maps that are easiest to get outdrafted on, to some degree. But yeah, we're already following. Yeah, apparently the 115 people that are watching are all already following. I'm a little bit surprised. We are going to see again the tank choke by both teams. ETC and Murden are off the board. There was a Reddit thread a couple weeks ago. Like, can we have a game where ETC and Murden just don't get played? There you go, guys. There have been multiples of them today. Malfurion going to be picked up for Tempest. Malfurion actually, one of the best supports at racing this map, just because Moonburn does apply to the Immortal as well. But the way Tempest have been using him just to follow up lockdown compositions is absolutely terrifying. I would not want to deal with Malfurion, whose roots were always perfect follow-ups to anything my team did. The Telekinesis, root. Condemn, root. It's like over and over and over and over again. Facecheck, however, is going to pick up Volatility, Sanctification. I'm going to say Sanctification, but it's like they've been going Judgment. If you guys do throw me a follow, I will give you a shout out in between games. Or anything else. It just won't pop up on stream, but I am paying attention to it. I'm checking my email. So if you guys want a shout out, feel free to follow. Illidan Sylvanas picked up for Tempest, and that's the draft. That's the game just literally ended. It's going to be very difficult for Vala to get peeled by a Tyrael against an Illidan. And Illidan is going to be on top of that Vala. Wailing Arrow is going to deny a lot of the save mechanics because the silences are going to be timed really, really well. And Tempest, if they win the early game team fight, pushing with the Sylvanas is going to get them so far ahead on them in terms of experience and in terms of structures that Facecheck is not going to be able to come back. Facecheck can barely give Tempest a fight on even talent tiers, even levels, in a straight 5v5. If they're behind, the game is over. Facecheck is going to ban out Tassadar. Tempest is going to respond with the Ariel, denying the Aegis save, denying the synergy with Vala, making sure she gets all that energy. Tychus Rhaegar is going to be the pickup for Facecheck. Tychus does give them some advantage against the double tank, maybe? It's going to come out here for Tempest, sort of patching those weaknesses. Nope, we're just going to see more burst. We're going to see the Li Ming. You know who's good at racing the Immortal? Li Ming. You know who's good at bursting people down when they're out of position? Li Ming. And the Johanna. So Condemn into Root into Li Ming burst. It's not quite as flashy as the Alarak combo we saw last game, but it'll get the job done. I'm curious to see what Facecheck is going to pick up. They're going to pick up Sonya. I believe Tempest wins the race. It's very close, though. I think it's going to come down to whether or not Li Ming goes for the pure Immortal race build. In which case, Tempest will definitely win it post-7. But the race is actually relatively close. It's going to come down to who's actually on top of the Immortal when it spawns. But MVP Miracle has demonstrated that they have better rotations, so I would not be surprised to see them on top of the Immortal. Although Rhaegar does have Lightning Bond. Lightning Bond actually adds a significant amount of damage to the Immortal race. It's going to be very close. But I think Tempest is just going to walk in, kill people, and then it's easy to win the race when everyone's dead. We'll have MVP Miracle on the left there. And... Tempest. We'll have Tempest on the left, Facecheck on the right. The race build for the Immortal, by the way, for those of you who are not familiar with it, is not Seeker. The race build for the Immortal is actually Aetherwalker at 1. It causes your teleport to only have a 3-second cooldown as long as you haven't taken damage for a few seconds. And then you go Calamity. The reason this is a faster race is because obviously you're adding a third damaging ability. And you're adding a third damaging ability that's on a 3-second cooldown and scales at 4%, whereas most of your other damage scales at 3%. So in the early game, you race extremely hard, and then it gets better and better and better as time goes on. It's first popularized in China. The Koreans have never really taken to it. They really like Force Armor because they like the survivability, which is what we see picked up here. We are going to see Reinforce picked up for Johanna. There's no real it's not great versus Haggis, but Regen Master is trash on this map because you never quite get enough globes. So I understand that decision. We're going to see the Illidan versus Sonya solo lane matchup. This is a matchup that I think a lot of people aren't familiar with seeing just because Illidan gets banned out so often with teams that are good at Illidan. But you know who wins it? Illidan. Fun fact. Obviously, this is, a Korean Illidan versus a not Korean Sonya. But it is a very difficult matchup for Sonya. It's one of her few very, very difficult matchups that are melee heroes. She has problems with a number of ranged heroes, but she tends to be okay versus most melee, but not Illidan. And dying as a solo laner loses you the most possible soak. Tempest, in addition to pushing in that lane and getting those towers, getting experience that way, also denying the soak by getting that kill on Sonya. Just did so much work and getting so far ahead. You can see Sonya is trying to defend the Immortal from Illidan, but Illidan's like, I'm out of here. It's fine. Actually, might be able to chase him down. He doesn't have W available. No. They turn around and gets the mount. Austin Singer gets condemned. And we are going to see the heal come in. Illidan's just going to go back and tap. And it didn't even tap. Just got healed up by Mephiry and came back in. Trying to get on top of that Vala as expected. And they're just doing so much poke damage to the Immortals. So far, no damage on the Immortal from Facecheck. All of its MVP, or not, I'm saying that again, all of its Tempest. And we are going to see the first kill first kill of the Immortal phase, I should say, on the Garnet. The resets are real for Li Ming. Sonya ends up going down as well. Rhaegar, and then that's KT4. Like I said, it's easy to race the Immortal if the entire enemy team is dead. They're going to force the transition here, relatively easy. And that's going to be almost a 100 shield Immortal. I mean, Facecheck might get some damage on it. We see the Vala is going to start to do the auto attack. But it's not true Sonya wins lane. I've heard very conflicting reports about that, by the way. Like, I've seen Sonya's win the lane. I've seen Sonya's lose the lane. But it wasn't always the better player who won. And a lot of times when it was an even matchup, the Illidan does win, in my experience. That's just a brutal team fight. Wow. Facecheck was trying so hard to secure a kill there, so this wouldn't be an aggressive 5-man push, which is what the Koreans like to do when they have an Immortal, even in the early game, especially if they have something like an Illidan or a Sylvanas who can just do so much work with the Immortal. But losing the team fight and then just having an AFK push with a Sylvanas is so bad for them. This is what I was talking about. If Facecheck can't secure an early game lead, Tempest will win the Immortal and just push and get so far ahead that Facecheck has no chance of coming back in the game. It's another beautiful 3-man condemn into a root. Secures the kill on Tyrael there. That was condemning someone into a root that was already guaranteed to land. That is so scary. Austin Singer actually barely gets away with the tap. And we are going to see another root come down. Root's on cooldown, basically. Almost securing a kill there. Cute dive by the Illidan onto the wall. And it looks like the keep is going to go down. This is the first Immortal, ladies and gentlemen, and that is going to be a keep. This game is actually painful for me to watch. Tempest is just being so aggressive and pushing in so hard. That's going to be another kill in the Tyrael. Are they going to end? Are they not even going to get level 10? Is this going to be a 4-minute, 30-second game? 5 minutes, I should say. 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Not even 30. 5 minutes and 15 seconds. Yep. 5 minutes, 11 seconds. I believe that is the shortest professional game I have ever seen. I'm pretty sure that is the shortest pro game I have ever seen. Wow. Wow. I'm literally at a loss for words. They got bodied. There's no other word for it. Facecheck got bodied. For those of you not familiar with Facecheck, they are the second best Taiwanese team behind Please Buff Arthas. And this is, of course, new Tempest, which only has Hyde and Lockdown from the previous roster, but obviously has a number of strong Korean players. We'll go into Game 2 right away. It will be Tempest versus Facecheck on Cursed Hollow. Now, Furion finally getting banned out by Facecheck. They're like, yeah, okay, we get it. We're tired of those roots. We don't care if you have a tank. We just, no roots. We can't, no more roots, please. Facecheck is gonna, have nightmares about their roots. They're just gonna have absolute terrifying nightmares about those roots. For those of you who are just joining us, this is the Gold League World Championship. What happened to the rest of Tempest? I don't think they're retiring. I think they're splitting up to new teams. Yeah, so for those of you... pause the draft real quick. For those of you who are just joining us, this is the Gold League World Championship Wildcard Qualifier. This is for the teams that were number 2 in minor regions or 3-4 in their major regions to get invited to participate in the top 8 of the Gold League World Championship. 6 teams have already been invited, and we can actually tab over. That's not the right thing. Ballistics have been invited. Team Dignitas have been invited. Astral Authority, MVP Black, Zero Panda, and Super Perfect Team. We are currently determining who gets the global wildcard spot. Looks like so far it's going to be either Tempest or MVP Miracle. No surprise there. And for those of you who are not familiar, Tempest didn't exactly disband, but 3 of the members did leave. Lockdown and Hyde are the only ones left on the team's from the original roster. I guess technically Tempo Storm disbanded and Tempest reformed with 2 of the original roster and 3 new heroes. There are 3 new people. And yes, PBA is the best Taiwanese team by a significant margin. TBA has never really been contested in their Taiwanese dominance. Just getting back to the draft, we're going to see Malfurion and Illidan banned out. Abathur is picked up for Facecheck, going for that global. And Murd and Vala are going to be the response by Tempest. When you pick Abathur that early, you're going for a specific clone target. There's just no other way about it. Either that, or you're trying to cheese the map and just delay fights for as long as possible. Yep. Nope. It said Zagara lost Vikings for a second, but now it says Tyrael, and I'm kind of weirded out. And so there's a little bit of a draft glitch. Second place Blizzcon isn't in it. For those of you who are reading chat, Fnatic actually did get an invite, but they declined to play in the qualifier because of ping. So they had the option of playing in the tournament that you were watching right now. They just declined it, which I believe is why Facecheck was invited, to be honest. I'm pretty sure this would have been Fnatic's spot if Fnatic had accepted the invitation. Tyrael Greymane going to be picked up. That's kind of expected. When you're looking at an early pick Abathur like that, you're like, yeah, they're going to want to clone Greymane. Either that or they're going for some sort of Jane and Cheese, but Jane and Cheese has been pretty off meta for a while because it's very difficult to execute. Whereas Greymane, you just clone him and dive in. It's a little bit easier, especially when you have Tyrael for Sanctification. Zeratul is going to be the ban by Tempest. Tassadar is going to be the ban by Facecheck. Not going to give any extra resources to keep that Vala alive. Facecheck can get on top of that Vala with double Greymane. They should manage to secure the kill. And Brightwing Falstad picked up for Tempest, locking in their globals. Very happy. They've been very happy about going globals pretty much all the time lately. And Facecheck taking along with the draft a Nubarak Rhaegar. I actually kind of like the Nubarak. If you look at Tyrael, he has nothing but slows. If you look at Greymane, he has nothing. No CC of any kind. Nubarak has the most CC of any tank in his base kit. Most CC of any hero, really, in his base kit. So they're basically drafting him like, you're a stun bot. That's all you're good for. You're just going to stun people. Rhaegar for the burst heal and Greymane. And if Halorn were here, he would be like, 4 months! Sleeper OP, 4 months. Tempest going to lock in Lily. That's right. That wasn't a draft glitch, by the way, guys. You actually just saw Lily locked in as last pick. So we have Lockdown on Hyde. We have Hooligan on Murden. And Modern Life on Brightwing. And I can't read Falstad's name. If there's anyone in chat who can read Falstad's name and tell me who it is, I'd appreciate it. He hasn't been added to any of the lists on any of the websites that I regularly check for team names. But we're going to see, I believe, Bruiser Lily here. And you're going to see the full blind build, and that's going to shut down literally all the damage from Facecheck. They will not... I'm gonna make a prediction here. If Lily is around, Facecheck will not get a single kill all game. Any fight where Lily's there, Facecheck will not get a single kill. I'm confident. I'm going to call that. Because Tempest is ready for adventure. You're going to see Tyrael just hanging out in the top lane. Brightwing just hanging out in the bottom lane. Falstad with the fly up. Gonna start to get the soak. It's really important that he did go see some marksman. He is going for the auto attack style of Falstad. So it's really important that he tries to get as much of the soak as possible. We're seeing Kittifor actually bully him out of lane with the hat. This is something that Tyrael... Actually, this is something that any mobile tank can do. They can bully almost any squishy assassin out of lane with an Abathur hat. This is one of the things that if you're playing on a coordinated team, you really want to think about, or you're looking at a draft, you want to think about, it'd be like, you can win the lane matchup as a mobile hero against any squishy if you have an Abathur hat. Because the Abathur hat actually does a lot of damage. The spike burst and the stabs just enable you to do so much work. Falstad had to tap already. He is not going to have that available. And meanwhile, we see the abuse of the Abathur comp. Not having enough lane pressure just allows Tempest to push in. Lily, Vala. Oh my god. Lily, Vala, Murden just pushing in. And actually we see Falstad was so close to dying that Tyrael went deep for it. And Brightwing Z'd in and got the kill onto Tyrael. But then Tyrael killed Falstad with the explosion. Feels bad. Wish we could have got that on camera. We saw it play out with the death timers in the mini-map, but it's not the same. Meanwhile, Lockdown is going to stay mid, continue to do Vala things, abuse his incredibly high damage. Because Vala is incredibly high damage? Not clear if I'm talking about the character or the player there for a second. To keep pushing this lane in and get the wave cleared aggressively. First tribute is going to spawn here momentarily, but I think Hyde can just literally like walk up and grab that. I don't think Facecheck's even going to contest the tribute, which is not a good situation for them. They really want to contest so they can have the Abathur soak for as long as possible. They are actually rotating down. It looks like they're going to start to contest it. We do see Muradin throwing down Thunderburn in the bush, looking for people. Making sure he gets to this mount. Vala almost ends up going down, but he barely gets out. Hooligan almost ends up going down, but he barely gets out. And Tempest is just like, yeah. We're fine. Don't even know what you're worried about. Hyde is not going to be on the tribute in time. I don't think... He doesn't have enough poke. The Falstad is here. Falstad does have poke. He does manage to delay the tribute. Oh, no, doesn't actually. Misses at the last second. And the first tribute ends up going over to Facecheck. I think Tempest thought that wasn't going to happen. Tempest was like, nah, they're not going to contest. But then Facecheck made an aggressive rotation to get as much as they could. Oh, the burrow charge goes in. Actually misses. Impale does hit. The Abathur hat comes down. And Lockdown is too close to his towers to actually secure that kill. If that burrow charge had hit, I think Lockdown would have actually died there. This is the benefit of having an Anub'arak. If you can hit all your CC, he has so much CC. And it's, you know, it's 2 area stuns. Yeah, they're not necessarily the longest duration, but 2 area stuns? Most people are happy to get 1 area stun. Lockdown just going to aggressively go in here with the vault and get the well. Get the wall as well, because why not? A full level lead so far for Tempest. They did give up that first tribute, but they didn't. But they picked up 2 kills to 1 for it, and they are so far ahead. This is the tribute that Facecheck really wants to get, because the next one's guaranteed to spawn on Tempest's side of the map. It will spawn in the top left, but it looks like Facecheck is going to give this up. They are a talent tier down, and we're actually seeing them come in aggressively despite that. Perfect Storm picked up from Murden, by the way, at level 1. So those random Storm Pulses he's throwing out are actually adding to his late game damage. Graham with the channel decides to disengage. Kim is actually going to take a lot of damage here. Polymorph goes down, not quite enough to secure the kill, and this is a clear 5v5. Anub'arak burrow charged into the back line and got isolated, didn't have an escape, ends up going down. That's the primary problem with Anub'arak, is he is so fragile. Less health than a significant number of the melee assassins. Even. He has Nip and Magic level 1 to help his survivability, but he just dies so fast when he's by himself. He needs aggressive support from aggressive help from his support all the time. Speaking of sports, we're actually going to see level 4 Rhaegar picked up Healing Totem. Greymane's health scales at 4.5%, and Ubrak, is a tank, kind of. Tyrael has a lot of health, so we have a lot of high health heroes. The percent healing from Healing Totem is actually going to help significantly with it. We see Wiz and Dolus pick up for Greymane. That's going to depend on securing the skills there. To believe they're going to be able to secure those skills despite the fact that they're up against a Lily. Not sure about that one. Their faith might be slightly misplaced. We're seeing full AA build from Falstad. Season Marksman plus Secret Weapon. And we're seeing full Z build from Brightwing. So going for that phase shield that's going to give some burst mitigation with that shield at level 7. And we're just going to see a brawl in the mid lane here, but I think that Tempest can outplay here and make something happen. And it looks like K4 is just extremely low. Hyde is keeping everyone topped off and mitigating so much damage with that area blind. We do see the full blind build coming out of Lily as well as Cleanse. That's Gale Force plus Mass Vortex. And that's 4 targets blinded every single time. Off those kills, Hooligan's going to rotate up, get the tribute basically for free. Not even going to contest. And the next tribute's going to spawn. Tempest is going to be level 10 to Facecheck's level 8 or so. Maybe they'll get to level 9. But it's going to be a free curse for Tempest. And their question here is, how do we want to win the game harder? Their option is go boss. They're going to get boss. Tribute's going to spawn as the boss gets capped, probably. It's going to be really close timing-wise. And while an early game boss usually doesn't do that much damage, this will only be a 6-minute boss in terms of scaling. An early game boss pushing with a curse can do a lot of work because the buildings aren't going to do anything against the boss. It's almost like pushing with a Sylvanas because, of course, the buildings are disabled. It's going to be incredibly difficult for Facecheck not to lose at a minimum multiple forts from this curse. And they could even start to potentially lose keep walls. Would not be surprised. I shouldn't be surprised if Tempest got the tribute, got curse, pushed with this boss, rotated up, got the other boss after that fort's gone, and then got a keep off of that. Just to abuse the lead a little bit further. Tempest is a team that can really look ahead in terms of how to abuse the map. And Cursed Hollow has a pretty interesting dynamic around the bosses and when you should get them. And it changes depending on how far ahead you are in the game, but they're really far ahead. We see Falstad is going to rotate, grab that tribute the moment it spawns. That will be curse picked up with a boss pushing. The boss has taken some damage from the fort, but not a lot, and it will still be pushing on to a cursed keep here momentarily. It is alive, and it's not going to take any further damage until the curse is over, unless Facecheck rotates to deal with it themselves. But Hooligan trying to shark around, not going to let that happen. Again, see, it's a half-health boss. And see, they're pushing in. They're trying to secure these kills. We do see Hooligans just on top of people. Like, nah, and you get a stun, and you get a stun, and you get a stun. Doing so much damage with those perfect storm stacks. I actually don't think I've seen him miss a storm bolt all game long. Which is pretty impressive and also kind of terrifying. You're going to see them continue to push in here, and they're going to they're starting to threaten this keep wall already. This means that they're stopping all the waves that are spawning here, which means their waves are going uncontested onto a cursed fort. That fort will end up going down. Another talented advantage here, 13 picked up before Facecheck is level 10, but it's roughly the same now. We are going to see another Judgment, but the pre-cleanse, Ancestral comes down on Austin Singer. Falstead flies in, gusts away. They're actually going to get Hooligan out of the web wrap, meaning his peel is going to come back into play. Lily pops Cups, and there's no stuns available to stop it, so that's going to get full value Cups out of Lily. Rhaegar and Greymane both going to go down in this fight. I don't think a Nubrak can get away either. That's going to be a free kill onto him as well. The curse is over, but bottom keep went down, and core is at 53%, 47, 43, 30, 20. Lockdown Brightwing casually soloing core. That is an 8-minute, 30-second game.